Now I'm sure you remember the terrible Battle of Shiloh, April 6th and 7th, 1862. 1,000 wounded and bloody Iowa soldiers were among the over 20,000 casualties. When Mother heard these numbers, she flew into action. She and I left Washington City by train the very next day, eventually stopping in St. Louis. Mother then hired a steamboat and, to the great surprise of the captain, spent days purchasing food and medical supplies and loading it onto the steamboat. We then raced down the Mississippi River, south to where it meets the Ohio River in Cairo, Illinois. Mother had already heard that Union Commander General Henry Halleck had issued strict orders excluding all civilians from crossing the battle lines to find survivors. I knew that grieving wives, parents, or siblings often converged on what remained of a battlefield to find their soldier's body. Mother and I saw that civilian boats were stopped at Cairo and turned away. Even Illinois Governor Richard Yates and his boat were turned away by General Halleck's men. We learned this as their boat hailed ours, and the governor's staff advised our captain to turn away, as it seemed a fruitless cause. My mother listened attentively to the warning, then invited the governor to come aboard and transfer his items to our steamboat. I'm certain Governor Yates thought my mother on a fool's errand and expected to be turned away in the same fashion he had been. However, we were waved right through the inspectors at Cairo and continued our journey up the Ohio, then south on the Tennessee River. At Pittsburgh Landing, where the Battle of Shiloh had been fought, Mother and I were immediately brought to General Halleck, for the men of his command didn't know how to handle two women who had somehow managed to slip through the blockade at Cairo. Mother simply handed this letter to the general. War Department, Washington City, D.C., April 10, 1862. Mrs. A.E. Harlan of Iowa, wife of the senator of that state, has permission to pass, with a lady companion, through the lines of the United States forces to and from Tennessee, and wherever sick and wounded soldiers of the United States may be, to render them care and attendance. They will be furnished with transportation and rations by the proper officer of the service, and all officers and persons in the service of the United States will afford them courtesy, protection, and assistance. All quartermasters will observe and obey, of course, the above order. Edwin M. Stanton, Secretary of War. Well, General Halleck paused after reading this letter, but he could not doubt its authenticity. He bowed in courtesy to Mother and replied, "Madam, you outrank me. What are your commands?"